Okay, so let's start with last week. I usually show up every single week without fail, so I know some of you noticed the gap. Here's what actually happened. I decided to jump head first into maximizing Claude's model Fable because it was only available for 1 week and I knew that I could build so much with it. Tools that would take my new program from amazing to friggin' awesome, right? And utilizing that model to build future assets took a lot of my time. And I had a choice. I could have used that week to record an episode like normal and quietly play around with the new tool in the background whenever I got a spare hour. That would have been the easy option, the safe option. Or I could have rolled up my sleeves, jumped right in, and maximized the week to build assets that I wouldn't have been able to build a week later. So I spent the week properly using it, testing it, pushing it, and building 4 actual assets for my seen, clicked, sold students with it. Tools that are already inside the program right now, helping them diagnose exactly where their ads and their website pages are breaking down. And here's why I'm telling you this. And it's not to pat myself on the back, although I do feel quite proud with what I have built, I'll be honest. But it's because I think this is what it actually looks like to run a business in 2026. You don't get ahead by knowing about new tools. You get ahead by taking action fast and adopting technology, even when it is really scary, particularly where it's going to save you time or it's going to make you money, right? Before everyone else catches up. That's not a nice to have anymore. That's a part of your job, especially in a fast-paced world that we live in today. If you snooze, you lose, right? And the course that I've built today won't be the same course in a month's time. I have no doubt about that because that technology will continue to evolve. And if I can make it even better than what it is right now, you better believe I'm going to keep evolving it. Every single one of you are the head of marketing in your business. And I've talked before about how that's a role that you need to properly step into, whether you like it or not. Then this is exactly the kind of decision a head of marketing makes. Not chasing every shiny new tool, but testing the ones that matter fast and building them into a system. Think about it like this. When a new piece of equipment turns up at a factory, the good operations manager doesn't wait for someone else to write the manual, right? They're in there on day one, running it, breaking it, working out what's actually good for their whole production line. That was my week last week. Not reading about what this model could do and spending my time scrolling on social media, actually building it, right? Testing it and ensuring that it was useful for real problems that my students have and creating something usable really, really fast. So I maximized that 1 week of opportunity. And look, I'll be honest with you, some of it was clunky at first. I hit dead ends. I rebuilt things twice. That's part of actually using a tool properly instead of just admiring it from a distance. But by the end of the week, I had 4 working tools tied directly to the exact problems that my seen, clicked, sold students come to me with, right? Which is knowing where their sales are actually leaking and how to plug the holes, right? So, yep, I spent, I would say, at least 70 hours, if not more. My husband would tell me it was a lot more than that, building last week. And those of you watching me on YouTube probably can see the bags under my eyes. But was it worth it? Hell yes. And I'd do it all again if I had the chance. So that's why there was no episode last week. I was in the trenches building, not talking about building, actually doing it. And if I ever have to choose between showing up with a polished podcast episode or actually solving a real problem for the people that I support and serve, I'm going to choose the problem every single time. So now that I've spent last week in the trenches, let's pick up where we left off, because the last episode I recorded before this was about the 3 steps to getting sales. You need to get seen, you need to get traffic, and then you will get sales. And if you haven't listened to that one yet, go back and give it a listen after this, because everything I'm about to say builds directly on that. But here's the quick version. Most business owners think their sales problem is one of those 3 things in isolation. They think I need to get seen more, so I'll post more. Or I need more traffic, so I'll spend more on ads. Or I'm getting traffic, I just need more of it. And eventually the sales are going to follow. And look, sometimes that is true. Sometimes you genuinely do need more traffic. I'm not going to sit here and tell you traffic doesn't matter, because it absolutely does. You can't make sales from an empty room. But here's what I want to challenge you with today, and it's a slightly more nuanced version of what I've said before. Predictable sales don't come from predictable traffic alone. They come from predictable traffic being brought into a journey that's actually optimized to convert it. I think this is where so many of you are stuck without even realizing it. You can have the traffic, you can be doing the ads right, and you can still be leaking sales because something further down the chain is broken, and you don't know it because nobody's told you where to look. So let's talk about where, because this is the bit that most people skip. They assume if sales aren't coming in, the answer is always more traffic, more reach, more budget. But more traffic into a broken journey just means that you're paying more to leak more. That's not scaling, right? That's a very expensive assumption. I want you to think about the customer journey like a chain of doors. Someone sees your ad, that's door 1. They click through, that's door 2. They land on your website, that's door 3. And somewhere in there, they either become a customer or they don't. If door 1 is broken, meaning your ad isn't stopping the scroll or the copy isn't landing, it doesn't matter how good your product page is. Nobody's getting there. If door 2 is broken, meaning the click happens after the traffic quality is off, or your cost per result has crept up without you even noticing, you're spending money to attract the wrong people or spending too much to attract the right ones. And if door 3 is broken, meaning people are actually landing on your page and they're still leaving without buying, then all that traffic, all that ad spend, all that effort getting seen is being wasted at the very last step. Let me give you an example, because I see this exact pattern inside student accounts all the time. Someone comes to me convinced that their problem is traffic. They say, I need more reach. I need a bigger budget. My ads just aren't getting to enough people. So we open up the ads manager together, and the ad is actually doing fine. The click-through rate is healthy. People are interested. They're clicking through in good numbers. But then we land on the product page, and within about 4 seconds, I can see exactly why sales aren't happening. Maybe there's no social proof above the fold. Maybe the shipping and returns information is buried right at the bottom of the page, right when someone's about to hand over their card details and needs reassurance. Maybe the page just doesn't answer the number 1 objection that specific customer walked in with. That is not a traffic problem. That's a door 3 problem. And no amount of extra ad spend is ever going to fix it, because you'd just be pouring more people through a door that was already letting them straight back out the other side. This is exactly why building one thing to fix traffic was never going to be enough. You need to know which door is actually broken before you can fix it. And guessing is expensive, right? If you diagnose it, it's going to be a much cheaper fix. And that's exactly what I spent last week building. So let me share what I actually built and where those 4 tools come in. And I want to walk you through them properly, not as a sales pitch, but because I think the logic behind them is genuinely useful, even if you never use them, right? Door 1 is getting seen, okay? It's about the ad itself. Is the copy actually saying the right thing to the right person? And is the creative, so the actual image or video, stopping someone mid-scroll in the first place? These are two separate problems, by the way. And most people will consistently mix them up. Your copy can be brilliant and your image can be wrong for the platform or to attract your ideal customer. Or your image can stop the scroll perfectly and your copy underneath it can completely stop them from clicking. So I built one tool that creates ad copy. It's called the Ad Copy Coach, and it gives students different angles, different variations for the 3 parts of an effective ad funnel. So for prospecting ads, attracting new eyeballs, for lead ads, which is all about getting someone to sign up to your email list, and for retargeting ads, converting people who already know, like, and trust you. Each have different psychology behind why it works, so they're not sitting there staring at a blank page wondering what to say. And I built a second one, which is called PAT, which is a picture analysis test that scores the ad creative, the actual image or video, gives them a rating out of 100, breaking it down across the areas that actually matter, right down to whether the text overlay on the image, if there is one, is doing its job or fighting against it. And I see this constantly inside the student accounts. Beautiful products and a weak ad. Or a genuinely great scroll-stopping image paired with copy that doesn't back it up. Both of those are fixable in minutes once you can actually see the problem clearly. Instead of just feeling like something's off or waiting and spending money for your ad to not perform when it was never going to perform. Let's learn that before we actually spend money. Now, door 2 is about getting traffic. It's about what happens after someone clicks. Is the traffic actually converting the way it should? Or is there a drop-off somewhere that's quietly costing money week after week? This is the one most people have almost zero visibility on because Meta's own dashboard doesn't exactly hand you the answer. You've got numbers everywhere, right? But no benchmarks to hold them against and no clear sense of which one you need to actually worry about, if at all, right? So I built a diagnostic tool that's called MAC, your Meta Ads Coach, and that tracks the numbers each week and flags exactly where the drop-off is happening, along with what a healthy benchmark looks like at each stage of the customer journey. Not vague advice like keep an eye on your numbers, actual figures against actual figures so you know in seconds whether something needs your attention or not. It also tells you if you're ready to scale your ad, right? It's ready to scale and actually get you more of what you're already getting. And door 3, getting sales, is about what happens once someone actually lands on your page. It's the piece that ties the whole thing together because you can nail the ad and nail the traffic and still lose the sale right there on your website page. If the page itself isn't built to convert, then this tool, which is called Page, asks you to take a screenshot of a product page and it will critique it and give a proper, honest conversion sense check. What's working, what's not, and the handful of things to fix, if there are any, that will increase the likelihood of conversion on that page. Now, I'm telling you this because the framework underneath them is the actual takeaway. Whether you ever join my program or not, you need to know about the 3 doors, and you need to know which one is actually costing you sales before you spend another dollar trying to fix the wrong one. So let's make this practical because I don't want you finishing this episode feeling like that was interesting and then doing absolutely nothing with it, especially if you're spending money on ads. Here's what I want you to actually do this week. First, I want you to pull up your last 30 days of ad data. So go into your ads manager and look at your link click-through rate. I want you to filter to the last 30 days inside ads manager and look at that one number. Ideally, it should be 2% or higher, which means your ad is doing its job and it's getting you traffic. If people aren't clicking, your problem is door 1, the ad itself. not your page and not your offer. Don't waste another minute optimizing your product page if nobody's even seeing it, right? You need to fix the ad first. It'll either be the copy or it'll be the image itself, or it'll be both. Second, if people are clicking, you can see if your page is optimized by how many people are adding to cart. You should be getting around 5% of your paid traffic adding to cart or higher. If you aren't, then you likely have a product page conversion issue, or your ad is taking them somewhere they didn't expect based on your ad image and your copy. And thirdly, I want you to sit on your own website like you're a customer. Actually go to the page that you're taking them to from their ad on your phone, because most people are visiting that page on their mobile device. And I want you to really consider it. I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Would you buy that product? Is there anything reassuring you? Anything answering any doubts that you'd naturally have before handing over your credit card details? If it's not reassuring you or you're hesitant, then that is your door 3, and no amount of extra traffic is going to fix that page for you. Pick whichever one applies to you right now and actually go and look. Not think about looking. Open your account, open your website page, look properly today while it's fresh in your mind from this episode. So here's what I want you to walk away with today. Predictable sales aren't just about predictable traffic. Sometimes traffic genuinely is the answer, and I'll never tell you otherwise, because most people aren't getting enough traffic to meet their sales goals. But more often than not, the traffic is already there or it's close, and the actual leak is somewhere else in the chain. It's quietly costing you sales you'll never see because nobody ever showed you where to look. Predictable sales come from predictable traffic moving through a journey that's actually built to convert it at every single door along the way. Seen, clicked, sold, not seen, hoped, sold. And here's the other thing I hope you take away from this. I didn't sit back last week and wait for someone else to figure out what this new AI model could do for my business. I got in, I tested it properly, and I built something real with it really, really fast, because that's what actually moves a business forward. Not knowing about the tools, but actually using them. And not for the sake of it either. Every single thing I built last week ties back to one question. Where exactly is the student sale actually breaking down? That's the only question that matters, whether you're using AI to answer it or a spreadsheet and a Sunday afternoon, right? Now, the reason I built all of this in the first place is because it's exactly the kind of diagnostic work that I walk my seen, clicked, sold students through. Every single door in that chain mapped out and fixed properly. Not guessed, because data is knowledge. And as a biz boss, you need to make data-driven decisions, not just gut feeling decisions. The answer is in the data, and you need to become a master problem solver. You just need to know what to look at and why it matters. Then it's easy to fix, right? Now, doors are open to Seen, Click, Sold, and I have it at a founding member's price that I will never offer again. That closes in a few hours' time, so if you're just listening to this episode, there's still a chance to get the lowest price it'll ever be sold at. Now, this podcast is not about selling to you, but if you have listened this far and you already know this is what you're missing, knowing which door is actually broken and how to fix it, then I do invite you to join me and the other founding members inside. I will pop the link in the show notes, and you can find it in my Instagram bio as well if you click the links in there. Now, thank you so much for tuning in today. If this gave you a useful way to look at your own numbers, I would love for you to share it with a business friend who needs to hear it too. Sharing is caring, and I would really appreciate it. I will see you all next week. Thanks again for tuning in.